Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Let Me Say This. We are back as one. The big three is finally back. I'm with the rowdy Raphael Rhodes, the dynamic Dre Davis, and I am the one awesome Anthony Likes, bringing you another show. So a little bit of action. We're going to get into the NBA. So, fellas, what is your reaction to last night's game with Boston and New York? Like, do you like Boston's never die attitude, or you feel like New York just kind of like, go back to the Garden and close it out in New York in front of the home crowd? I'm
Go ahead,
interested
Dre.
to
I'll
hear
let you
y'all.
start on this one. I'll let you start on this one.
I mean, I kind of felt like I knew that was exactly what was going to happen, what should happen. At any point that you're down in any series, you are expected to, if not just expected to, you should play up if you're down. Eventually that type of effort can get stunted by the team that is up. And I do fully expect New York to come out in the next game and possibly play strong, um, and go ahead and close the series out. That would be really nice for them and their fans. But I completely expected that from Boston. Jaylen Brown stepped up in a major way. He made some very big plays for his team, not just scoring. He did a lot, facilitating the ball as well. Like I said, Boston from one to I think they played about 8 or 9 different players. Everybody played lights out last night in front of the home crowd. I mean, I didn't expect anything less. Like I said, I think even the Warriors last night they tried to play up. It was just too much to handle for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves did what they were supposed to do in their respective series and close it out. But I think there again, there is the vital difference between Steph Curry and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum still having his right hand man and Jaylen Brown. And again, I say Jaylen Brown made some plays last night.
I agree. I think Boston answered back pretty well from their being down 2-0, and I think losing Tatum is a big thing for them. And of course, he's their star player. He's everything they want in their team, and he goes down with an unfortunate Achilles injury, which my thoughts and prayers go out to him, and I hope he can recover and come back next year. But it looks like he's going to be out for the season because Achilles is it's a pretty serious injury. But you look at the way Jaylen Brown performed, kind of to your point, Dre. I mean, last night he had a double with 28 points and 12 assists, and you look at that and you go, okay, well, maybe the Celtics have some life in them. But I don't count this Knicks team out at all because they're scrappy. And when you have Brunson coming back and playing really good ball, and I think it's going to be an interesting. Series, but I don't see the Boston breaking out of this. I just don't. I don't think Boston can recoup what happened to Tatum, and I think it's a sad thing. I think it's hard. I mean, when you lose your star player, it could really debilitate you. I'm happy that they bounced back and they found a way to get back, but I just don't see them really making it any more of a series, personally.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I didn't want to leave out. I left this out earlier. Derek White, 30 points last night. Also, another one of those performances that I was talking about, playing up, kind of playing out of your mind, playing not to go home. Will he do it again in 6? I don't know, but again, that's part of why they won last night.
Yeah, and you got to admire the tenacity that they came with, right? Like they came back with their backs against the wall. They're the defending champs. They know everybody's out to gun for them. And New York is sitting there with a comfortable lead in the series, going, we can just take it right now. So when you look at it like that, I mean, Boston came out fighting with their backs against the wall. But I think right now it's time to push the panic button. I have a couple Boston fans at work, and they're pretty much raking it in for the season and going, we'll see you guys next year.
yeah, I was about to get to that. That was gonna be my. I feel like they kind of like long term playing. And Jason Tatum finna be out for a while. The roster that we see now, some of those guys not gonna be back. So the team is gonna look way different next year. Like Kristaps might not be there, or Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Depends on if he's willing to take a pay cut or whatever whatever they want to do with Al Horford. So there's going to be a lot of those guys that are not on this team. So this was a chance for a team to repeat, but it seems like those days are kind of dwindling down as now we're going on about to have a new champion 7 years straight. So
yeah, I don't see a repeat. I don't see a repeat happening. I don't think they have that chance this year. But you're right. Now I don't think they're going to have another chance next year, depending on how they reconstruct the roster, because they're not going to be able to pay everybody. They have a salary cap that's going to be astronomical next year.
Yeah. So.
And I wanted to jump on the tail end of that as well. If you are still Boston, even in this situation right now, you have to be satisfied because you still did ultimately win a championship. You had multiple appearances in the finals. You bloomed some homegrown talent into top stars. I mean, like you guys said, it's going to be a completely different team next year. But I mean, this is the franchise. This is the NBA. This is the machine that pumps in.
Also, new ownership.
In and out.
I don't want to forget about that.
Yeah, new ownership,
new talent. And to highlight what you just said as well, Anthony, for a 7th year in a row, for a new champion to be crowned. As a pure fan of the sport, I really, really love that. I really love seeing the possibility of these different combinations of people that you've never seen performing such high stages, and they've never had a chance to, as you alluded to last episode, small market teams. Minnesota going to the Western Conference Finals, now about to be in premier matchups at the end of May, when the only competition that you have right now is baseball, the NHL playoffs, and then going back down to spring football. So you have a chance to really highlight somebody we talked about possibly being a face of the league in Anthony Edwards. What it would do for his career if he was able to win a championship this year. What it would do for a Jalen Brunson to win a championship this year. So yeah, from that aspect, or with the series tonight that we'll be probably recapping in the next episode with the Thunder and the Nuggets. What happens if the Thunder take down the Nuggets? And now we're looking at, like I said, that's, as a pure fan, I really love that. That part of it really sticks out to me.
It's a lot of remaining in the playoffs. It is a lot of small market teams, and I'm gonna continue to keep standing on that, unless it's the Utah Jazz. But we'll get into that in another discussion. But all these guys, like I said, cover from small markets, so it's nice. Like I said, it's nice to see. I don't think we might be a while before we get another dynastic run in the NBA. The way the trend is going, like whoever wins the championship this year, like, hey man, the way history is looking, like, what are you?
But you know what? Let's give it up to the small market teams, because they're teams that were kind of counted out, and they're making something of themselves. So you really do got to give it up to the small market teams for sitting there, showing up, and playing. And speaking of the small market teams, and I hope you don't mind transitioning from that game, but what the Pacers are doing and how they've shown in their progression, you went from a player that was considered overrated to now being questioned as one of the better players in today's game, in Tyrese Halliburton. He has been clutch. And I don't care. I don't think it matters who goes into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think you're coming into a buzzsaw when you're facing the Pacers. Now, I think the team that has the better matchup would be the Knicks, because Jalen Brunson is Mr. Clutch as well, and they play very gritty basketball. Plus, there's a rivalry between Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton that's already kind of laid out, so I'm kind of excited to see how that happens.
Yeah.
But that's going to be something that we want to watch out for. I think that's going to be the matchup that I really want to see. And if it's Boston that goes up against the Pacers, they're not going to be able to handle the pace. They're not going to be able to handle the pressure, because the Pacers play fast and they shoot the ball better than anybody. In the month of since the All-Star break, they've been the best team statistically and record-wise. Since the All-Star break has been the Pacers, and they've been overlooked. They were picked to lose this series by every ESPN analyst. 11 out of 11 said they were going to get swept or losing a gentleman's sweep.
And we were the ones on the side of calling the Cavs fraudulent.
Not when we,
Regardless of what they had going on, they battled injuries last year in the playoffs as well. So it seems to be I don't know what's going on in Cleveland.
yeah.
Maybe they need LeBron back, but we'll get into that. But it's what was I about to say? I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Oh,
can I ask a question then? An open ended question?
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so open-ended question in regards to new era of basketball, new era of talent, um, with the possibility of expansion coming, with all these different champions, as you alluded to, the new CBA that's limiting how many stars you can have on a team and everything like that. Where does stardom come from now in today's NBA?
It seems drafted and developing. Cade Cunningham, number one overall draft pick, 2021. See what he's turned into. Anthony Edwards, number one overall draft pick, 2020. See what he's done. Tyrese Halliburton, same draft, not number one pick, but 2020 draft was in Sacramento, so they kind of had to make a choice between him and De'Aaron Fox. We see what they did, and now look what Tyrese Halliburton blossomed into. We got a Paolo Banchero, number one overall pick as well. See what he's turning himself into. So it seems like draft and develop is the way to go now, and compared
Yeah,
to trying to buy your way to a championship.
yeah. Drafting and development plays a part, but I also think it's drafting from overseas has become a big thing too. Because look at all the European players that are making a big impact on the league now. Wemby came from France. Joker from Europe. So you have a lot of these. You have a lot of these European players that have been drafted. They took a semester in college, played for a college team, and got drafted. And I think, but a lot of them are playing at a young age there too, and they see it as their way to get in. So I think you're right, drafting and developing. But I think where they're drafting from, you're not developing in college anymore. You're not going to the University of Florida developing, and then you're going to be a star in the NBA. It's not like that anymore. You don't see it like that anymore. And I think you're going to see that problem with college football coming around too.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because, like I said, stardom 20 years ago when I started watching basketball not only came from where you were drafted and how you were developed, but what you did on the floor. And a lot of people that we saw become stars in our time, the Shaquilles, the Kobe's, the Jordans, uh, some of the people that we kind of overlook but have to allow into the Hall of Fame or to upper echelon now is based upon the style or what we remember about them. Uh, like we said again, we're about to have a bunch of different champions right now in the NBA. Maybe a couple different MVPs here in a little while. We're gonna probably have a couple more drafts in 3 years. I still could see LaMelo win an MVP. So, like I said, I just wanted to see where you guys benchmark for stardom came from because I mean everybody's is a little bit different.
And that's a beauty part about it too, right? We talked about the beauty part about sports is we can disagree and agree, and still you can have those friendly discussions, but it's subjective, right?
Yeah.
Stardom can come from. I mean, LeBron James was a star in high school,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a talent that's none other. You're not going
That's
to
a one
find
of
another
one.
LeBron
Yeah, it's a
James.
one of one.
You just won't find another one of those. I mean, they might be out there. We just don't know who they are yet.
Nah.
So you got to take that into account too. I mean, stardom comes from however they were raised and however they were practiced and however they were taught how to play the game and how to be a professional.
Yeah. Ultimately.
But I think that's an interesting question you bring up.
So I guess we were leaning more on the parity side versus the dynastic runs. You know, the Jordan 6 and 8 years, the Lakers three-peat, the Spurs, what they did, and even those most recent, the Warriors. I felt like if the Warriors went on to win it all, Steph came back. That's that's a dynasty. 5 championships in a 10-year window. You could consider that a dynasty, but it's done now. So now we're on to the point where, like I said, we started with with Kawhi, got traded to Toronto basically to die, but he won a championship. Then the Lakers win a championship. Then the Bucks win a championship. Then the Warriors come back and win the championship. Then Denver. Then last year Boston. So this year in New York, Indy, Minnesota, OKC, Denver, somebody, and you can still even throw Boston in there for a repeat. you can count them out, but at the same time, don't count them out because you still got to go on the court and play the games. But yeah,
but here's the beauty part about the parity too. Like you have the parity in the league, and now you have these small market teams that are about to be that are vying for a championship against honestly a big market team like New York, because New York's the only big market team that's still in it.
Yeah.
And when you look at it like that, like you have all these small market teams, the Minnesotas, you have the Pacers, the Indiana Pacers, and you also have
OKC.
Brain farting. OKC, yeah. And they're not big market teams. And they're still vying to win an NBA final. And that's what parity does. Because if you had the big market and they just go by the big market money, and the players want to play in the big market for the lights and the sponsorships and all that stuff, you're looking at losing. Look at Boston. They're not going to make it.
And speaking of OKC, I would think like you would think like small market teams would kind of follow their blueprint per se, not trying to stockpile on draft picks, but as far as their acquisition of talent, the way they put themselves in position to acquire talent through the draft, and then the way they turn out the rosters, like they might have a year where, of course, they gotta, they're young, they're gonna rebuild, but then you finally see them blossom into what they finally become. Like they become a number one seed back to back. So you would think the blueprint for all the small market teams would kind of be similar to following OKC's. Because like we talked about once, I think with the NFL copycat league, and just like we've seen teams basically copy the Warriors with the small ball and shooting the three, and then some teams started shooting more threes than the Warriors. James Harden Rockets. So you would think like small market teams, but and so what is OKC doing that works? What's their formula? How can we try to emulate half of that? Not saying you got to do it the whole way, but like at least a piece of it to where we can make ourselves competitive and even attract veteran guys to come play for us that they give us that presence in the locker room.
They're finding market players that are fitting the system that they run. Is what they're doing, and they drafted well, and they're finding market players that fit the system.
They drafted
that to me is what they're doing.
They drafted well, they traded well, and they got some people in their locker room that believe in what they're doing. That's the most important part. Okay,
agreed.
When you said some market players, you said somebody said something about veterans, and I was trying to figure out in my head like who in the world plays for the Thunder that we've known for years and years. Not really anybody.
They don't really have too many. Yeah,
they don't have any well-known names that we just have known for years and years. I think
SGA you could consider SGA the only veteran, honestly.
And I don't even consider SGA because I really consider SGA homegrown talent for the Thunder because
I can agree with that.
They're the ones that nurtured him and allowed him to have that space to grow. So the Thunder truly has a building with people that under that roof know that they are not threatened to have to go anywhere because of all the trades, all the draft picks that they have coming up. Even this year, that in a trade that affected the Miami Heat, now because of what the Warriors did, the Thunder still have a top 13 pick this year. Mm-hmm. They are possibly about to go to the NBA Finals, and they're going to have a lottery pick.
Yeah.
When things like that happen, inside your locker room, there's no threat of having a Paul George, a Pascal Siakam, even a Steven Adams. There's no threat of them coming into your locker room and taking your place, changing up any organic chemistry, bringing in a new ego, having to get used to a new team. There is none of that in Oklahoma City. That's what I love about the culture right now. Right now, everything they've built in the last 7 years, when we talk about trusting the process, when we talk about what the 76ers should have done was copy and paste exactly what the Thunder are doing now. If anybody ever
look at their coach who's been successful. Exactly. I mean, you got Thibodeau and the Pacers are the same thing, right? Because the Pacers have found market players and they make good trades and they brought in players that were overlooked, I guess is a good term for it. and they bought into the system. And now look at them. They're in their second Eastern Conference Finals in a row. And so the players have bought into the system.
It also it also speaks to who your general manager is. Who's
Agreed.
the person pushing the buttons in the front office? Who's not scared to make certain moves or chase certain goals or do things that are outside the mold? We talk about Pat Riley all the time because Pat Riley does the exact opposite. He's so scared
Jerry
to
Jones.
go against the grain. He's so fearful of being the person that got screwed in certain situations that he allows his team to deplete based on his inability to gain trust under that roof. So, again, I can't say enough about Oklahoma City's ownership, their coaching staff, their players as a whole, like top to bottom, man. They can have a very first class organization. They deserve to be in the spot there.
And if they don't make it this year, if for whatever reason they do not make it this year, next year look out. As long as they're healthy, next year look out.
I think honestly, I think they have to capitalize because I know you got to take care of what's in front of you and what you out west, but I know they see what happened out east and they saw what happened with Boston, and that probably was their biggest threat. So this is one of them ones like we got to get it done this year. And I know this, like I said, this was kind of quick. This is pretty much all I got. I know we're working on another episode as well with you guys, but we didn't want to kind of put two into one and make it super long. So we just gonna kind of wrap this up here. If anybody else had anything else to add as far as the NBA goes, before we close it out and move on to what we got to do next.
Stay tuned for the finals. Because I think we're going to see some great matchups.
Yeah, we're gonna. Of course, we're gonna come back and give our reactions to the game sixes and potential game sevens, and then move forward to the conference finals as well. So, and thank y'all for tuning in to this episode. But we will be right back. So stay tuned for another episode of Let Me Say This. Thank you.